Okay, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everything is working. Welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida Extension Service here in Hernando County. Joining me today is Colby Pitts, who's the Hernando County Florida Friendly Landscape Coordinator, and also one of our Master Gardener volunteers, Bernie. So, good morning, everybody. And let me mention right off the bat, this will be our final virtual plant clinic. So, for all of our longtime listeners, I know Bassem is on here religiously. Good morning, Bassem. How are you? Um, this is it, guys. You got any really good questions? Get them in today.
You ought to tell him why. The man has reached the magical age where you can do a thing called retire. And he's going to find out that retiring isn't any better than working. So,
Yes, the reason why the virtual clinic is leaving is because I'm leaving. So, well, I'm kind of happy to hear about it. So, I'll miss doing this. I know that Bernie mentioned earlier before we started about this has been going on for over 4 years. At this point, it's a bit over 5 years. And thinking all the way back to when COVID-19 first started and we kind of had to leave the office to start working from home, Lily and I were thinking, well, what can we do to help answer people's questions? Because they could still call. We were still getting phone calls. Teresa, they were going to Teresa. She'd take care of them. We could still get emails and pictures, but people couldn't come to the office and, verbally go back and forth and ask us about their problems. So we got the idea of doing this every once in a while. And we started on Zoom, and then StreamYard came along, and then the rest is 5 years worth of history. So, and we're always so happy to hear that people enjoy it, people benefit from it, people have learned something from it. Hopefully, if you listen to 5 years worth of us rambling on for about an hour or so, just about every Thursday, you can learn a lot of bits and pieces and trivia at least, and hopefully some really good information too.
well, I think we've been very fortunate in that we've had some really good gardeners, and over the years we've had some really good questions. So. It's been fun. We've had a few people that were beginners, but we've had a lot of people that really know what they're doing. And the truth is, we really enjoy that. The people that kind of stretched us a little uh, are the ones that have really made this interesting. It's nice to help people, but it's even nicer when you're pushed a little bit while you're doing it. So.
And especially, and it may be different for you guys. You've been doing it longer than I have, but when I get a question that, even if you guys answer it, it teaches me something, and then I can then pass that knowledge along to someone else, whether that's because you guys taught me something or because I learned it myself out of your research to answer some a viewer's question or a resident's question. So you have to think that those really good questions don't help just you, because there's probably someone else that has that question or eventually will have that question.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives us the ability to, end up answering it, especially if we didn't know it before you asked.
Well, I know over the years with all the different questions that people ask, a lot of them fall under the heading of same thing. It's seasonal. It's really, really common. You've answered it 100 times. You've looked at, turf grass samples and identified take all root rot 1,000 times, it seems like. It's kind of the same thing. But then every once in a while, you get a really unusual oddball kind of question that you've never encountered before. It may be something new to the county or the state. I know that we had a master gardener identify banana scale here in Hernando County, and that was the first record in Hernando County. The snails, the bulimulus snails, I reported it to the authorities so that, it could be put down that they are present here in Hernando County. They're probably present all over Florida. It's not every county has reported them. And a few other really good catches. but that makes life interesting. Ian, here's somebody who's never asked a question before, but Ian says, good morning. I've been watching most every week for the last 2 years or so. Wow, that's great. Thank you. Since buying my first house, you guys have helped a ton and taught me so much. Thank you all so much. Happy for you. Well, thank you so much, Ian. We have a lot of lurkers on here, I think. People that watch, but they never, ask a question and not familiar with their names or who they are. We have others who are not shy about asking questions.
Even when we're gone, as far as the internet programs, you can still call the extension or stop by, and all that information is available. And more people really should make use of it. It's coming out of a land grant college. You picked up the bills over the years with your tax money. Uh, we're here to help. We're here to provide the information that you've already paid for. So if you don't use it, you're just wasting your own money. So we'd love to see you.
And no matter what county you live in Florida, there's 67 counties. Each one has an extension service, and each one has a website. The university a couple years ago made websites for every county, so you can Google it and find your county. So Levy County Extension, if you live in Levy County, find their website, going to have their phone number, their address. They all, to the best of my knowledge, provide soil testing. Some of them in-house, others they send it off to Gainesville. We send it off. We don't do it in-house. And a lot of other services call to find out when they're going to have a master gardener on hand to answer questions. Some offices have them there 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Others have it for certain hours, depending on how large the county is. So, yeah, no matter where you live in Florida, even if you're outside of Hernando County, you have an extension office. But here's the phone number for ours, and you can call Bernie and talk to him if you want.
And don't forget, a lot of people are have landscape questions. So that probably is about 25% of the questions we get. And the truth is, that's what Colby is a professional in. If you want help with landscaping, you want to know what plants are really best to plant in Florida. You want to know what can I put around the house that isn't going to cause problems later. He's the guy with that information. And if you make a mistake, if you put a 40-foot tall tree that weighs 8,000 pounds 10 feet from the house, and it's a short-lived tree, when it falls on your house, that 10,000-pound tree does a lot of damage. So, check before you do it. And here's the guy that is just waiting with bated breath to answer your every landscaping question. So, we want Colby to be just as busy as he can be, and we'd like to help you with all the questions. We'll do landscaping, but for the most part, Colby's the guy on landscaping, and we're the guy if you've got a plant health problem or a growing problem. He's recommended that you put in XYZ, and you want to know what to do with XYZ to make sure that it does its best. That's what we do. We're the guys that tell you how to take care of XYZ. He's the guy that tells you XYZ is probably the best plant for your particular situation. So we really complement each other. We both can do you a lot of good, and we would just love to help you.
Okay, I've been looking up some information on pandan plants. One I've never heard of before. So here, let me see if I can pull this up here. So pandan is an incredible lesser known perennial herb that is very important in Southeast Asia. It's a little bit like lemongrass. And I read on another page that it taste like vanilla, but it can do very well in Florida in the right spot. It is a tropical plant, so I'm sure it's not going to do well in a freeze. But if you grow it in a container, hey, he even says that at the very end of this paragraph here, the growth habit of this plant would also lend itself well to long-term growth in a large pot that can be moved inside during cold nights. So boom, that's perfect. I'm going to have to look into that one and maybe try growing it. I did see that it tastes like vanilla, and Bassem says pandan ice cream is his favorite. So Bassem, does it taste like vanilla, or does it taste like kind of vanilla or something else? Always looking for more edible plants that take very little effort. Low maintenance.
We've talked about some neat plants. Dragon fruit was one that really kind of surprised me. Dragon fruit is actually an excellent plant, has a tremendous flavor. It does have a minor drawback in that in excessive quantities, it tends to act as a laxative. So be warned, do not pig out. But other than that, if you want something with a very refreshing flavor, or something that's kind of easy to grow here and it is unusual, it's a great plant.
Yeah, let's see. I learned something new today also about pandan. And something important to note on dragon fruit, technically the University of Florida assessment has declared it invasive, even in Central and I believe North Florida. In South Florida, it's not going to freeze back and die during the winter. In Central Florida, because I've grown it, if you don't cover it, and if it gets too cold, it will freeze dead, like dead, not coming back in the spring kind of dead. So how it can be invasive and escape cultivation and spread far and wide in Central Florida is beyond me. South Florida, obviously, South Florida, they don't have freezes, so that's not an issue. It is grown commercially. They grow a lot of it commercially in South Florida, down around Miami Homestead area. Very profitable crop, very tasty. You can find dragon fruit in Florida grocery stores now, whereas just a few years ago, I mean, you'd never see it. Now you see it quite a bit. I've seen it most everywhere, really.
One that's right on the border here. If you happen to be lucky to have just a little better, warmer environment, carambola, I really like that. That's kind of a neat plant. It's kind of like growing citrus, but it has a nice flavor. It's an interesting looking fruit. We're just on the borderline, so probably 80% of the people can't get by with it. But there's probably 20% of the people in the county that it would work. So if you're one of those people that is from Hernando County south, it's a good plant maybe to think about.
Yeah, I would think even from Pasco County south, it's not going to be a huge problem in the winter. It seems to take a tiny bit more cold than a lot of the other tropical fruits. Obviously not like well below freezing, it's going to die or be seriously damaged. Yeah, I like it when it's very, very ripe. It's also known as star fruit, if anybody's familiar with star fruit. When you cut the fruit up, it's shaped like a little star. I've thought about getting one. I have a protected site by the front of the house. It would be right in front of a south-facing wall of the garage, which warms up during the day, during the winter, and it's going to release that heat in the middle of the night. So between that and maybe having to cover it if I absolutely have to, I think a carambola will probably do pretty well there.
Yeah, and it doesn't really seem to have any big problems. Doesn't have any insect that I know of that's a major problem.
Nope.
It just seems to be a happy little plant, just a little too far north. But I'd definitely try it. Another thing that I'd like to mention uh, is with the current problems we've got with palm trees, the uh, Texas Phoenix palm decline or lethal bronzing or whatever. Uh, the county's going to lose every one of the uh, uh, I can't think of the name of the palms. Um, that's funny.
Cabbage palms.
The ones that grow wild here, the native palms,
Yeah, cabbage
sable
palm.
palms. Sable palms are 100% going in the county. If you drive around, you see them dead, or if there's any group at all, you see half the group is going. The rest of them are going to go. Well, you know, if you're thinking about buying palms at this point, uh, if you spend a lot of money, you're probably going to be very, very, very disappointed. Palms are at a crossroads as a landscape plant here. They're still selling them in big quantities. People are putting them in big quantities. It's a bad plant. It's a possibly tragic waste of money. So before you spend a lot of money on a palm, find out if that particular palm is subject to lethal bronzing, and if it is, you're probably going to get it. So if you want to spend a couple $100 and take a chance, that's fine. But if you want to spend $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 on one of these gorgeous palms, be aware that probably isn't going to survive.
Yeah, the large ones can be very, very expensive. And I know a lot of commercial development, like I noticed in Spring Hill, they built an apartment complex and they have a lot of palms there. Now, they didn't get 6-foot palms that are going to grow. They got big palms, so it looks really, really good from day number one. So I hate to imagine how much they spent per palm for them. Yeah, palm trees can be very expensive. Ian, looks like Ian was a part of our program and class a while back for mulberries, and his mulberries are doing great. And speaking of cold and tropical plants, Dave says, I had a night last January when the temperature dropped to 19 degrees for about 5 hours. Plenty of plants will not be bothered by that at all, but tropical plants, as a general rule, are going to be killed by that. Other plants might just be seriously damaged, and then it all comes down to where in your yard they are. Is it up tucked close to your front door? Is it way out in the middle of your front yard where it's all completely cold? There's nothing there keeping it warm. So there's a lot that goes into that. So here in Hernando County, things are still kind of questionable about different tropicals. It's amazing. You don't have to go far south at all. Tarpon Springs, they grow mangoes down there. We were in Tampa not that long ago, and we were at a store, and in the shopping center parking lot, they had a palm tree, and it was a bottle palm. So you only have to go a little bit south before you even encounter varieties and species of palms that grow well there, well enough where they're going to put it in a parking lot, and it seemed big and happy, looked fine. And up here, where technically it still gets too cold during the wintertime is normally going to knock it out.
Yeah, the gentleman that was talking about his mulberry. Mulberries do really well here. They produce a really great crop. They're shorter lived here than they are up north. They tend to grow really fast in the summer, and because of that, a 15-year-old mulberry tree here is equivalent to maybe 125 or 30 in Ohio, for instance. So the plant produces tremendously good fruit, a lot of fruit. The one thing you need to look out for is the cedar waxwings. They tend to come in and a flock of cedar waxwings will strip every berry off the tree in 10 to 15 minutes. So, but if that doesn't happen, that tree will produce very well. Once it starts producing, it'll go for at least 10 years before you start having real tree problems. But unfortunately, and it's the same way with peaches. If you grow some of the Florida peaches, they really do well as far as producing great fruit, but their life is short. So, peach tree lasts about 15 years. Same tree up north, 25, 30 years. So everybody enjoys the summer, but these northern trees that we're about as far south as they can go, they tend to get excited and grow too fast. So.
Okay, for anybody watching us live, if you have any questions, comments, anything, go ahead and put them in the comments. Go ahead and type them in, and I will see them, and we'll do our very best to answer them. Oh, look who's here. Lily, can you hear me? Lily froze. Lily's trying to join us. Lily is on the scene up in Pennsylvania.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can't hear you, though.
Oh, I'm talking. You should be able to hear me.
I'll come back and try again.
Okay. So Lily is having technical difficulties. So going back to cold weather, Dave says, yeah, Pinellas County temperatures never drop very low because it's surrounded by water. Being right on the Gulf helps to keep things warmer. Being right on the water helps to keep things warmer. If you live right next to a lake or on a lake, that helps to keep things warmer. Lily, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, there's this little button that turns the volume up on the side of my phone. It's amazing.
It usually helps.
Yes. So, what's new there? I'm good. How are you?
We're all here for our very last show.
Yes. So you have made that announcement. Is that?
Yes, we made that early on. So to let everybody know.
I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, so or force you into making the announcement.
Well, you should have heard the cheers. It was just amazing.
Well, I only have a little break. I'm at a conference for newbies at Penn State. So, but I wanted to hop on to say what a pleasure it has been to work with all of you and to come back even from another state and compare and contrast and to wish Bill the best of luck and let you know, even though it doesn't look like I'm retired right now, I guess you would call it semi-retirement. Is a blast. Is a blast.
You got to do something. And sitting around watching TV all day is not a good way to go.
And here I am hanging out at a university, so.
Why are you wearing a coat?
It's just like a vest.
Okay.
Thing. Well, because it's cold in the room, actually, but I would say it's 60 something out here. It's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, that's freezing.
No, it's you see the sun shining. It's gorgeous. And I think the leaves are just starting to think about changing. It's pretty early.
Yeah.
But we have been so incredibly dry. I'm afraid they're just going to fall off and not put on much of the show this year. But anyway.
Well, maybe we could send you a hurricane up that way.
No, thank you. No. Well, maybe the bands when it's done. We do need some rain.
Yeah.
So, Bernie, I'm going to miss seeing you every week, but I didn't think I would get to see you after I left, and I still have. So, who knows what the future is going to bring.
Well, it's been an interesting 20 years. You've done many things, and I've sat here and learned a lot. The sad thing is, if I retire, I leave with a head full of knowledge that I can't use for anything else. So
There's no reason for you to go anywhere, Bernie. You've got
Well, I
Dr.
guess-
Strickland there. You've got Dr. Strickland there to entertain you. You should keep learning for years to come.
that's a scary thought.
Dave grew up in State College. Yeah,
Yep.
this is the second time I've been here as an adult. I guess I came when I was like 8 and 9 when my brother was going to college here. But seems like a fun town. And of course, yesterday, this is a rule. If you're on campus, you have to go to the creamery because it's College of Agriculture, a big dairy thing. And apparently, they sell ice cream products and cheese and stuff at this creamery. And we walked around the tour. You'll see on my Facebook page, I have a picture with the kitty cat that you were teasing me about last week, the Nittany lion.
Mhm.
I can see, it's too far to see. Way behind me, there's one of the Nittany mountain, part of the Nittany mountain range. That's where the name came from. It's a Nittany lion, mountain lion. But I also learned yesterday, prior to that mascot, they had a mule.
A mule.
And his name
Well,
was
mules are
old.
important. They're practical.
It was an old Colby, Koaly. And we saw his trough, and apparently his bones are still kept here somewhere. But then they, in the 1800s at some point played another team that had mountain lions, and they're like, hey, we want that. So they've been, because of the Nittany mountain range, they've been the Nittany Lions ever since.
Okay.
The best ice cream anywhere. Yes, it was pretty good. I actually had frozen yogurt because at this conference, they're really, really, really good at feeding us. So by the time it was ice cream time, I was like, I can only take so much more. So
Yeah, some of those things, especially if you start with the breakfast buffet with bacon and everything else, after a certain point, it's like,
yeah,
shouldn't be eating as much.
yes, exactly. But I need to go back in soon, but I wanted to wish Bill good luck.
Okay,
And
well, thank you so much, Lily. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. And I mentioned to him last week, I think the partnership he and I had when we worked together was a hell of a partnership, and we got a lot of creative things done, and it was a pleasure. So I wish you the best of luck, you and Nora, and go out there and enjoy life. So
We will, and thank you so much. And hopefully, you and Henry will get out and about and have a great time up there. Hopefully, you coming back down here for a visit this winter?
at some point, oh yeah, at some point, yes, he may be there longer than I am, but yeah, I know the 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year's, I don't get to work, so yeah, so I'll probably be down there then.
Okay, well, let me know. We'll have lunch or something. We'll get together.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Good to see you, Colby.
Oh.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody else has any questions, if you go ahead and put them in the chat, we'll do our very best to answer them. And thank you, Lily, for coming on and kind of joining in the big goodbye celebration here. 5 years was a long time. I know that we had a really, really great time for a while there. We had absolutely no template to go by. So we had to make it all up from the very beginning and as we went along. I know that when I switched over to this platform, StreamYard, which I've been using for a number of years now, we only used Zoom for just a few months, I think. It took the university 8 months to approve it. Didn't stop me from using it. I guess I can't get in too much trouble for that now. But they were supposed to approve it. Took them 8 months, and they eventually did. We found out that, no, it's not based in Ukraine or the Soviet Union. It's safe. And we were the first ones with, University of Florida to use it, and had a great time. For a number of years. It was just a regular every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. part of our schedule to pop on and do this. And we are here to answer your questions. And yeah, Dave, you can come by our office, and that is the correct address, and we can give you a form to fill out and a little paper bag to put your soil sample in. But we do not do the analysis here. You'll have to mail it off to the soil testing lab up in Gainesville, and then it takes them a week plus or minus to do it. The drier the sample is, the quicker they'll get it done. And then they send you the results, and they send us the results. And that way, if you get the results and you read it and it's like, I don't know what this is, you can just give us a call. We can pull it up on our computer and go over it with you, tell you what you need to do. I could do that. Bernie can do that. Teresa could do it to a certain extent. So sure, stop by the office here, and we'll go ahead and set you up with everything that you need to get your soil test done.
Yeah, that soil sample is done on a plasma machine. They dissolve the soil in a very, very mild acid, and then they inject it into this plasma, and it causes the plasma to have various colors depending on what the composition is. So by determining from the colors the composition, they know what things are there, and by the brightness of each one of those colors, they know how much is there. It's a very elaborate machine, and on the other hand, it's a very simple machine, but it's also a very, very expensive machine, and it costs more than our entire office setup is. So
yeah, and they burn it in argon gas. And apparently great big canisters of argon gas are ungodly expensive. So, but the charge for the basic soil test is only $10. You can't beat that. They can test for a variety of other things, which a normal homeowner would really never have a use for. If you're ever wondering if we could test for the presence of herbicides or pesticides, generally no. It's very difficult, very expensive. You'd have to track down a private lab for that, and it may get very, very expensive depending on what you want them to look for. So we have to call sometimes. I think my neighbor's been spraying weed killer in my yard. Can you test for that? No, not really. So Bill missed all the early announcements. Who'll be taking my place? Who knows? And who knows when? May take a few months, might take a year and a half. Not really sure. And Dave, with your soil samples, yes, you can send in multiple samples. You can send in one form. Each sample has to go in its own individual paper bag. You need to give each sample a name, a specific name, and write that on your sheet so that they give you the test results for the sample. Bill, you're very welcome. Says that we provided an important role. I like to think so, bringing balance and correction to all the vast misinformation out there on social media about gardening. I'm a member of a whole bunch of different gardening groups, and they show up on my Facebook feed a lot. And there are times when people will ask a question, and if they're depending on other people who are members of that group to answer it, sometimes they're kind of out of luck. They'll get 100 answers. They're all over the place. A lot of times, like, one person will answer it pretty much correctly, and the other 99 are just all over the place. So one of my favorites was, and I really have to, I may still have it in my computer somewhere, but I'm not really sure. Somebody asking about a dead spot in their lawn. Bernie, you would have liked this. Dead spot in their St. Augustine lawn. What's wrong? People listed off every possible disease it could be, even though what's the other disease in St. Augustine that comes up in the winter?
Oh, brown patch?
Brown patch, yeah. This was it wasn't during the winter, so almost definitely not brown patch. And people were saying about do this, do that. put this on it, put that on it. Somebody said put cinnamon on it. Cinnamon powder does have mild antifungal properties. And if anybody's watching who is an orchid collector or experts, it's used a lot of times with orchid cuttings because it is a mild fungicide. And I thought, how much powdered cinnamon would you have to buy to put in your lawn to be effective? And what would the neighbors think? They walk out the door in the morning like, oh my gosh, who's making French toast? This smells great. You probably wouldn't get complaints. You get really funny looks.
You'd have to think, it's going to get really expensive. I almost think that buying fungicide might be cheaper.
Oh, fungicide would be cheaper. That's for sure. I had a picture, and I'll even try looking for it, holding up a container of powdered cinnamon at Sam's. And you can get the big containers, but I'm thinking, how many of these do I need to fill my spreader to cover the whole lawn?
If the doing a soil sample, if you are new to your home, do the front yard, do the backyard, because so many of these divisions, they put good soil in the front yard and they fill the backyard with the cheapest stuff they can get. They put the cheapest sod they can find, or just seed in the backyard. They put St. Augustine in the front. It's a terrible practice, but all the builders tend to do that. If you do it once, that's good for a long period of time. Things don't change very often in the soil. You get the composition and the pH, and your soil is going to stay fairly close to that unless you've done something drastic. If you put in a major stand of corn in the backyard, obviously you would eat up a bunch of nutrients. But other than that, the things don't change much. So if you know what you have in the front yard and you know what you have in the backyard, you can use that as a basis for things that you want to grow for a long period of time. And that's kind of important in that some plants don't like a particular pH, or they don't like a high amount of something or a low amount of something. And if you're doing landscaping and you plant a bush that wants an acid soil and you have calcareous soil, the bush is never going to be happy. It's never going to do well. And there are a lot of cases where that's what happens. So, get a sample of the front, get a sample of the backs, get them tested, and then you can pretty much use that for 5 years, 10 years as your what you have when you're purchasing landscaping. It won't change much, and that's a really good $20 for 2 samples. So just a good thought.
Yeah, and it's always a really good starting point to know that information before you start going further down the road of landscaping, replacing a lawn, replacing all the plants in your yard, whatever it may be.
A lot of people will ask, I'm tired of this St. Augustine. I want to go to Bahia. Should I do that? Well, the key question on whether you should have Bahia or not is, what is your soil pH? If you have a soil pH of 7.5, the Bahia is never going to be a good lawn. If you have a soil pH of 6, Bahia is going to do pretty good. Mm-hmm. If you got a pH of less than 6, Bahia will do great. So, but why spend a tremendous amount of money putting in a new lawn that you don't know if it's going to succeed or not? And there's so many places here in the county where it won't succeed. Most of the time it does, but if you've got one of the 25% that won't work, save yourself some money. For 10 or 20 bucks, you get the information you need. And I'm a cheapskate. I'm all for saving money in the long run if you can. So that's just how it's done. You have to put in a little effort, but it saves you a lot of money in the long run.
It does, and you need to do a little get a little background information before you just pay a company to just put any old lawn in to figure out what you want, what's going to do best. And for anybody out there who's either in a homeowners association or thinking of buying a house in one, read the rules thoroughly first. It kills me. I see on a Facebook group, somebody will say, I moved to Florida and I bought a home in a subdivision, in a homeowners association. I want to plow up my front yard and grow corn, and they won't let me. And everybody else says, "Oh, they're so mean, and why won't they let you? It's better than grass. You can eat it." You know, it's in the rules. You can't do that. So read the rules first, and then you'll have far fewer problems when you're going down the route. Make sure that you can live by the rules also. If you have your heart set on a front yard full of corn, it's not going to happen in a homeowners association. I don't care which one you want to move into. You're going to have to make other plans.
Yeah, I love it. People move here. They get a boat and 2 cars. They've got a 2-car garage, and the rules say nothing can sit in the driveway overnight. Well, if you've got 2 cars and a boat and a 2-car garage, something's going to be outside overnight. And had a very good friend that fought that fight with the homeowners association. And the interesting thing is, the homeowners association always wins. So you cannot overemphasize, read the rules before you buy.
I think a lot of people are, they don't realize that that's tied into your house. There's absolutely nothing you can do. The house and the house and your HOA covenant, the deed to your house and the HOA covenant are one and the same. They're all in the same. They're held to the same credence by the law. So it's like, what? I mean, I don't think people are going to pick their house up and move it. So and that's not to say that, HOAs are going to have some benefits. There's some people love their HOA because they keep things just so how they like them, and that's fine. But it is really important, you do your research, read that entire covenant if you're looking to buy a house. I've been looking, my wife and I are looking at some houses, and it's you either, I'm not saying I never live in an HOA, but you really do have to pay attention, because sometimes I've read some of these things and it's like, whoa, that's insane. So very important to read and pay attention to that.
Well, they've been in the news recently, and there's talk of passing a new law that essentially outlaws them, and they have updated other laws that kind of control and tweak a little bit about what they can do. I've read horror stories, people having their homes taken from them because their lawn died. One lady in South Florida spent 2 weeks in jail because of her lawn. So that's not fair. So,
on the other hand, the rules were there first, and it's the failure to either go along with the rules or the failure to even know the rules that caused the problem. As long as you don't go against the rules, nobody ever has a problem with an HOA. And it's sad, because occasionally you'll have a 90% of the people over the years want to do things this way, and 10% want to follow the rules, and the rules are specific, and you have to follow the rules. I've seen some homeowners associations where they really antagonized a lot of people, and but you do get to vote, and if everybody doesn't like the rule, you can change it. So if the majority doesn't want it, fine. But if the majority does, or there's a split, and the people in control want it, it will be. So follow the rules. If you can't follow the rules, if you can't live with them, just don't buy that house. And the builders will stop building so many HOA controlled districts. it all starts when they do the first construction. So
Yeah.
you moved in 10 years after this thing started. You're the 97th person in the area. 96 people have agreed ahead of you. You really don't have much of an argument. So I hate them, wouldn't live in one. But if I really appreciate the fact that there are some older people or people that have strong beliefs that want to live in a certain set of conditions, and that's fine for them to do that. It's what's not fine is for people to move in uh, and want it changed. And being in the aviation business all my life, I used to see that constantly. The airport's been there for 50 years, and they build a subdivision, and the first thing that happens when the subdivision goes up is that everybody living there wants the airport shut down. It's too noisy. So who's right, who's wrong?
Yeah. So think long and hard before purchasing a house in a homeowners association. Get a hold of the rules, which they're going to give you. Read them over. I've heard you should try to speak with some people who live there. Just some people are going to give good reviews, some people not very good reviews. So take them with a grain of salt, but to get an idea. I would think that they keep minutes of homeowners association meetings that you could probably look at and read. So educate yourself, do a little background education before you make that big decision and the big jump. And as a general rule, homeowners associations are not going to be letting you grow grapes in your backyard. But Bassem is, and he wants to know what type of spray for grapes to keep them healthy, insect-free, fungus, and bacterial disease as well.
What kind of grapes?
I would say probably copper for a fungicide. Copper is a good all-around. We've been using it for literally thousands of years as a fungicide, and it's also a bactericide, which means it's going to kill bacterial diseases also. For insects, if you have a specific insect problem, I know that grapes can have a problem with the grape leaf skeletonizer, which is a caterpillar. So for caterpillar, you want to use BT. And for most other random aphids, this and that, insecticidal soap should work just fine. Hopefully you're growing muscadine grapes. If you are, they generally don't have a whole lot of problems here in Florida. They're going to do pretty well on their own without too many issues. Dave says, yeah, it's with HOAs, it's kind of like moving to Florida and complaining about the heat.
Exactly.
It's not going to change, Probably no place in the world is absolutely perfect. You just have to weigh the pluses, minuses. Same thing with the house, same thing with the neighborhood, same thing with the HOA or not HOA. Whatever's best for you, you need to weigh the pluses and minuses. Try to get as much information as you can to build them on, and then make a decision. And we got a question from Lori. Should I start to let my lawn go to seed? It is a mix of weeds, Bermuda, Bahia, a Florida yard. Much like mine, I have all of those present on my property also. Yeah, letting the Bahia go to seed is a great idea during the summer here in Florida. Right, Bernie?
Absolutely. If you're not in an HOA, I would say take one summer and mow the yard about every 3 weeks. Let it go to seed. The little V's have little seeds that appear and they're black, and when they finally fall off and the little V's are now bare, have no seeds on them, is the time that you can mow and it's fine. So basically, if you mow it, let it go to seed, let it have about 2 weeks under the little V's, and mow it. What will happen is the Bahia will get one, it will start shading out the weeds because it will get higher, and second, it will start reseeding itself. So the following year, you're going to see a little increase in the density. And if you do that for about 3 or 4 years, you end up with a fairly decent high density Bahia lawn, as high as it's going to get. And everything really works great. Now, the exception to that is if you have a real high pH, the Bahia is never going to look really good. Probably in that case, your best bet is to just keep it mowed high and overseed, scatter some extra seed a couple of times a year yourself. Right at the beginning of the rainy season is a great time to scatter Bahia seed. And late in the rainy season is the second time you do it. So, but yes, letting it go to seed, letting it stand is definitely a really good idea in a Bahia lawn. In a St. Augustine lawn, that doesn't do you much good, won't work. But you do want to mow your St. Augustine 4 inches high. How high is high for pH? On St. Augustine lawn, you can go just pretty much anything we've got. Bahia lawn, once you cross the 7 threshold, it really drops off in a hurry. 6.5 is about as high as you want for a nice Bahia lawn. 7, you can have a satisfactory Bahia lawn. Above 7, it starts really being poor. High being above 7.4, yeah, that's awful high for a Bahia lawn. That's going to be a weedy Florida lawn. Don't worry about it. Mow it, and as long as it's green, that's your basic 30-30. You run across the highway there at 30 mile an hour, and you're 30 feet off the lawn. It looks great. So for a 30-30 lawn, it's not a problem.
It's really important to remember when you're dealing with pH that it's like on a logarithmic scale, right? So a pH of 8 is 10 times higher than a pH of 7. So you're really, no pun intended, in the weeds here. Getting with where tenths of pH are very important. Like these are big jumps in the acidity or alkalinity of any given pH. So it's really important to remember, like the tenths of a pH, they do matter. They matter quite a bit. Something to pay attention to. Like you're never going to see soil with a 9 or 10 pH. That's insane. These really small bits of pH do matter.
There's little pH meters that you can buy for $15 or whatever and push in your soil. Those have an accuracy of about plus or minus 2 or 3 or 4 on pH, meaning they're totally worthless. If you really want to know what the pH is, the university does a pH test for $3, and it's pretty accurate. It is almost impossible for a homeowner to do a pH test and have any accuracy whatever.
Yes, swimming pool water will kill your lawn. So if you have to pump water out of the pool, if you pump it onto a grass area, you're going to damage the grass, and that's the salt doing that. In sandy soils, the salt washes out pretty quickly. The grass will grow back. I've had to pump my pool out before, and water just goes in the backyard. Grass comes back, looks fine now. And going back to pH, here in Florida, we can have soil pH as high as about 8.5 because that's the pH of lime. So calcium carbonate, because we have a lot of that in our soil. Technically, it can get higher. It can get up to 10, but not in Florida. You'd have to go to New Mexico for that, and that's because it's a very salt soil.
Yeah.
So here in Florida, 8.5 is kind of the upward ceiling. Won't go higher than that. Although I have seen it that high here in Hernando County from using fill dirt. And they had a Bahia lawn on top of it. Bahia lawn on top of soil that's 8.5 does not work well at all. And I mean, ideally, if you have to pump the water out of your pool, if you're able to run a garden hose out to the gutter, will that get you in trouble? Probably not. Try to do that. If you pump it onto your lawn, try to not let it spread too far because it will damage your lawn. It'll wash out and the grass will grow back. So it all depends on how important your lawn is to you when it comes to pool water. Okay, guys, getting close to that time for us to go ahead and wrap it up here. Before I start showing all my regular weekly contact information, I want to take just a moment to thank everybody for helping me out with this project here. Lily was here earlier. You know, it was originally me and Lily. We've had a number of guests over the years. Times change, people come and go. We, of course, brought Colby right in to help with this. Thank you so much for helping. Bernie, you've been a star. There are still people who, every time I do something online, they're, where's Bernie? I think they kind of fall under stalker header, but that's okay. I like those kind of stalkers. So just wouldn't be right unless I thank my lovely wife, Nora, here holding a package of plants from a local big box store that will not grow here in Florida, to kind of make a point. Just because they sell it at a store here doesn't mean it's going to grow here. She put up with literally years of listening to virtual plant clinics and me on Zoom and me on StreamYard. And I've done my compost class so many times, she literally had it memorized. She's like, what are you doing today? I got to teach compost class again. Oh, not that again. Compost, compost, compost. She had that one memorized. And also want to make a quick question or mention of the time during the COVID lockdowns when I was working from home. Lily was working from home. She had her dogs, had our dogs. There's the three of them. All three of them are long gone at this point. Oh my gosh, they were a handful. Of course, they'd be quiet until you go online. Then, somebody would knock at the front door and all three of them would go nuts. That was start hitting mute really quick. Sorry about that, guys. Got a comment here. Oh, Dave goes back to talking about pool water, I guess. And he must have a diatomaceous earth system, which I'm not familiar with. We have the salt system with the salt cell, and that's hard enough to keep clean and figure out. So yes, be very careful where you put that pool water, lest you get in trouble with the authorities or code enforcement or somebody else driving by. So for the next week or so, if y'all want to get a hold of me, go ahead and email me. There's my email. If you would like to contact Bernie or our office for more information on soil tests, answering questions when we're open, whatever it might be, there is our phone number. The best way to follow all of our activities and upcoming events is follow us on Facebook. There is our short name for Facebook, Hernando EXT. Our master gardeners operate a nursery, and there's the address. It is on Brooksville. It's right behind the Hernando County Fairgrounds. They are open Wednesday and Saturday mornings from 8:30 in the morning until, what is this? We're in September. Right now, they're only open till 11. Pretty soon, they're going to be open until noon. As soon as it cools off a little bit, they will be there till noon. During the summer, they go home at 11. They close the gate, they kick you out. 11's, late enough on a hot day. If you would like to watch any of our recorded classes that we've done over the years, Hernando County Government has a YouTube channel. So go on YouTube, go up to the little search bar, type in Hernando County Government. That's how I find it. And their page will come up, and we have a lot of great recorded classes on there. Best way to get a hold of Colby, there is his direct email. Or if you want information on rain barrel classes, compost bin classes, which we are having one tomorrow. And yes, I'll be there. I'll be there before 10. I'll be here at the office, so I'll be leaving here. I'll be there early to get out of the office. I guess I could say that too. I'm leaving soon. So there is Colby's link tree, and all the different links and information about those classes is going to be on there. And Dave, you're very welcome. To all of our regulars on here, you guys are all very welcome. More than happy to answer your questions, help you out. Always great when we get a conversation going here. Great when we kind of veer off into talking about grilling iguanas or insect poo or all of our other favorite topics that we've kind of accumulated over the years. So, Colby, Bernie, you guys have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to share?
Well, the 2 years that I've been in this position, it's actually just over 2 years now. It's like 2 years and 2 weeks.
You just started. It can't be 2 years. You've only been here a few weeks.
It's been a minute. Bill has been incredibly helpful. He's been a joy to work with, and has taught me a whole lot. Sad to see him go, but I'm really happy for him. Taking this next step.
I really appreciate being included. I feel like that I've been very, very fortunate. I appreciate the fact that you've let me say whatever I wanted to say. I've noticed a couple of times you fell off the chair when I made some of my comments, but you always let me go. So I really feel like I'm part of something really worthwhile, and you've created something really worthwhile. So for that, I thank you, and I appreciate it. I wish you the best possible rest of whatever you do. Thank you.
Well, Bernie, the good news is you've never gotten me in trouble, at least not that they've told me. So, and I only got about a week left, so a nasty email or two I could probably live with.
We should have just unchained Bernie for this one. Just let him go.
Bernie, you are a real asset to the residents of Hernando County. You've always been here on Thursdays to answer their questions. You guys would not believe how many fans Bernie has. All these people that will literally line up some days. Is Bernie here? I have a question for Bernie. I want to ask him. And they'll line up, and they're just regulars, and they bring whatever problem they have in the yard into him, and he's always able to figure it out. Either he knows what it is, he asks one of us, he'll look it up. We'll have to look a little bit deeper, but he always finds out eventually what it is and what to do about it. So, Bernie, from all the residents of the county, thank you. And I have no idea if she's on today or not, or if she's out back working, but somebody else who's always been a huge asset for us is Teresa. So, Teresa, couldn't have done it without you. I haven't seen 35 different links to University of Florida information, so I guess Teresa's not on here with us today. She was always the best at that. Somebody would ask a question, and I read it, and we're kind of like, well, and then ding, there's a link to the fact sheet there explaining all of it. So, Teresa, thank you so much, and you're very welcome. Hey, guys, with that, looks like we're pretty much right on time here. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for the memories. I wish I had a little special video to roll at the very end here, but I'm not that good of a video creator. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that all of you had a good time, and we'll see all of you around really soon. So until then, thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.